With his mind he's saying, no more. With his heart he's saying, no more. With his life he's saying, no more war.
Yes, sir.
I really have two questions, and the first one is, you, sir, on the your right part of me, my left, made the comment, which I think is what disturbs me after this mess has gone on as long as it has, and that is that you felt betrayed and that you were lied to. And that's the way I, as a citizen, feel. I thought the film presentation, the technique of the rolling vote, is very effective. But do you, in the light of what we think we know now, and I say think because it's still not clear to me what the hell happened, really happened, well, I've got a pretty good idea, that you would cut some of these senators some slack, because it certainly appears that they were lied to also.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a tough question to answer. Okay, so basically what you're saying as far as do I feel like it's okay to cut the ones slack that voted no on it?
Not all of them necessarily. I think we could all, certainly in this group, we could probably all pick out a few that we would say they would have voted for this no matter what it was, okay? Because of who they are and what they believe. And I don't want to debate that. I'm just asking you is that I think there should be some recognition when you look at people like George Tenet. I sat and watched, as many of you did, probably Colin Powell sat there with George Tenet right behind him and made a fool of himself in front of the entire world. I was sick to my stomach when I found out later that this was nonsense and baloney. And I think that's why Powell got out as soon as he could. That's just my opinion. But let me go on to the second question. You talked a couple of times about conscientious objection. I am not a conscientious objector. And I would fight in any war that I believed in. And I would like to know, independent of your experiences in Iraq, and I say again, like several have said, thank you, John, for what you have done. You've done what your country asked you to do. And I think you're just going to stand up and say what we asked you to do was wrong. Period. Simple. Dumb. We shouldn't be there. There are other wars that have been other wars, and I wonder if you would fight in those. World War II, for example.
Okay, I don't know. I'll throw out my opinion on your first question and then pass it down for the other guys to answer about as far as participation in war. But I don't limit my blame for this war on those Congress people and senators that voted for it, because I know that there was a lot more people pulling the puppet strings behind that scene. But I mean, in order to keep it concise, I pretty much put it on them because that's what's presented in the film. Yes, there's a lot more information behind that. There was a lot more intelligence manipulated and fabricated, and that goes into many deeper levels that I'm not going to go into here. But no, I don't hold them complicit by themselves. I hold the entire administration, and even those who voted no on it then and are still now voting yes on funding the war because they want to support the troops. I hold them as equally complicit in this war as anybody else, because every one of them who has voted yes on funding for this war has voted yes on more soldiers to get killed and voted yes on more Iraqis to get killed. And so, yeah, I hold them all equally complicit. I don't have much respect for any of our elected representatives anymore, because over the 6 years that I spent in the Army, I felt betrayed every single day. Every time I heard a new vote come out, or every time I heard another press conference, or another 10 minutes of CNN, it just made me sick to my stomach. So I don't put it on any one person in the administration. I don't blame it all on Bush. I blame it on our entire representative government. And so I think it's time for a full replacement of all of that in order for us to fix any of this. And just quickly, as far as my belief in participation in war, I used to believe in the just war theory. When I first joined the military, I had no opposition to the war in Afghanistan. But due to my participation in Iraq, it led me to the belief that all war is wrong, and I no longer believe in, the cycle of violence continues. Violence doesn't fix violence, and I don't believe in any war being just.
Alright, so, and then I'll give my answer to your second question, whether or not, you know, if it were a different war and if it were presented better, if it wasn't all lies. First of all, I no longer trust anybody that is elected. I don't care if they're Democrat, Republican, it doesn't matter to me. They're all in it for their own, and I just can't trust it. I can't trust the way the government's set up and anything. I'm not trying to say revolt, I'm just trying to say that's my personal belief. As for your question, I agree with Eli. I just don't believe that there's ever a justification for war. I mean, I've read a couple books, in my time, and I just know that it's just never really worked out the way that the intention was meant. And as far as that goes, I mean, I do want to say, like, I completely believe in what this country was meant to be and what it can be, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing right now. I'm still defending my country, and I'm still defending the rights of every single citizen of this country by speaking out against this. And so I'll continue to do that.
As for whether there is a such thing as just war anymore or not is irrelevant to me. I will never participate in it, and I don't feel comfortable holding weapons anymore, and so that for me would keep me from fighting the war, I guess.
In reference to your second question, I've been in the Army for 5 years, and when I signed up at 18, when I left high school, I swore an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, both foreign and domestic. I feel this war is a violation of the Constitution, and that what we're doing right now, although non-violent, is a war to defend our Constitution. And as far as participation in the war in the future, to defend my family, to defend my homeland. Hope it will never come to that, but I'd be willing to sacrifice myself for something that important, but not for a pack of lies, and that's why I refuse to go back.
As far as the organization Iraq Veterans Against the War, we have only three unifying points, basically. The end of the U.S. occupation in Iraq, taking care of veterans when they come home, and help Iraq rebuild the country and culture. And other than that, the political spectrum of our members is wide, whether we're CO or not, believe in just war theory or not, is very diverse. And we take a lot of different stances on a lot of different positions, but we have those three unifying points. Personally, I know I defend my family and my friends with every bit of strength that I have if it takes violent force to do it. And I may extend that to my countrymen or the weak and innocent if the situation seems to call for it. But I've learned to never say never, and I just make my decisions. I try to make my decisions with a little bit more wisdom and caution than what I used to as when I joined the military. So as far as trusting, or giving a chance to some of these politicians that voted yes on the war, but maybe have been misled and betrayed by the administration by giving false information. It's still very difficult. I've made a lot of regretful decisions in my past, and I'm really struggling to forgive myself for some of those decisions I've made. Can I forgive somebody else? Of course, but it makes it very hard to trust those people again. And I don't care who, whoever our next president is going to be, whether it's a Democrat or a Republican, it's going to take people like us to stand up, take to the streets, have our voices heard, for them to make the right decisions, because there's a lot of pressure on them to make the wrong decisions. There's a lot of money and there's a lot of power being thrown around. And if America's not going to stand up and stand by the right things to do, then they're not going to do them. So we do have to organize, and we do have to make our voices heard.